James Naish.
It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship today and to speak as the Member of Parliament for Rushcliffe, which is proudly home to over 2,000 HongKongers who have arrived under the BNO visa scheme, and it's that I would specifically like to focus on today. I thank my honourable friend from South Norfolk for opening this debate, and I also welcome my honourable friend, the Member for Nottingham North and Kimberley, to his place as Minister of State in the Home Office, and thank him for joining us today on his first working day in office. I'm here this evening or this afternoon to make a simple, principled case. The 5-year pathway to settlement for BNO HongKongers must be retained. This is about trust as much as law, about keeping our promises and about keeping the faith of the people who place their futures in our hands. The BNO visa route was created as a humanitarian lifeline in response to Beijing's horrific national security law. The route is grounded in our legal, moral and historic responsibilities under the Sino-British Joint Declaration. It is not an economic channel, but a bespoke, safe and legal route for British nationals and their relatives who are fleeing repression in a former British territory where rule of law and human rights have been ruthlessly eroded. That is why there has been rare, enduring, cross-party support for this scheme since day one, and why any attempt to move the goalposts now would cut against the very reason that the route exists. HongKongers uprooted their families on the explicit promise of 5 years to indefinite leave to remain, plus 1 year to citizenship pathway. To lengthen the timeline mid-journey would be seen as a breach of trust. It would shake confidence in the UK's credibility far beyond the BNO community. The numbers tell their own story. Almost 200,000 BNO HongKongers now live in the UK. Crucially, the overwhelming majority came in the first 2 years after launch, and BNO grants now account for about 1% of total visas. We must appreciate that today's debate isn't about headline immigration numbers, but about the welfare of a community that is already here. In my constituency of Rushcliffe, as I said earlier, over 2,000 HongKongers are currently on their 5-year pathway to ILR. The impact will be on them. Shifting the rules, as has already been mentioned, would hand Beijing and their regime in Hong Kong a propaganda gift. You trusted Britain, yet Britain broke the deal. We cannot allow that narrative to stand, which is why the government must keep its promises. Extending settlement to 10 years would force a decade-long wait for home fee status for BNO students, pricing out the vast majority of BNOs currently studying for their A-levels at schools in my constituency from being able to start university until they're in their mid-20s. It would delay access to an estimated £3 billion in Hong Kong pension savings that can only be released once ILR is granted. This is £3 billion. I will.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. He's making an excellent case around what those with BNO visas are being put through by this white paper and the proposed legislation. In Dartford, I've been contacted by a very large number of people on skilled visas who are in a very similar situation. Would he agree with me that whatever the situation of people either on BNO or skilled visas, whatever may happen in the future with this legislation, that people who have come to the UK to contribute to our economy and society, that the least we should offer them is clarity on what they can expect from us, as well as fairness in not changing the terms on which they were accepted here in the first place?
I thank my honourable friend for his intervention, and he's absolutely right. And I think the consensus here today is that that uncertainty and the idea of moving goalposts is something that we need to determine whether we support as a country. And I sincerely hope the Minister is listening about the sentiment in the room. Going back to BNOs, because many BNOs lack consular protection and cannot safely renew travel documents, a longer route would also trap families separated, unable to travel for study, unable to travel for work, and unable to see relatives abroad. To extend the pathway to 10 years would not be an act of administrative tidying, Rather, it would be a material downgrading of hundreds of thousands of British HongKongers' lives across the UK. Meanwhile, the community is contributing civically and economically. HongKongers are working, studying, volunteering, starting businesses, even serving in local government as councillors. They are precisely the neighbours and colleagues we want to keep, that my constituents in Rushcliffe want to keep, and many of those are also concerned about some of the broader immigration issues that have been referenced. The 5-year route was designed so they could put down roots quickly and securely. Extending the clock would defer integration, depress opportunity and waste potential. And therefore, to close, I echo the words of the tens of thousands of UK HongKongers who will be watching this debate at home. I want them to keep standing with Hong Kong. I want to keep our promise to HongKongers. I want to keep the 5-year route. That is how we honour our word. We support a thriving community that has so much to offer to our nation, and it's a way that we can show the world that when Britain gives its word, it will keep it.